All right, so if you don't have your notice 1444, this is where we're going to be walking through to get your account transcript to figure out if the IRS really did send you a stimulus payment, and if they did, how much it was for on their records, right? Because we're going to need this account transcript in order to be able to properly fill out the Recovery Rebate Worksheet. So just follow along. So if you don't have the site, just go to irs.gov/account. Okay, so irs.gov/account. Okay, it'll bring you up to this page here. What you're going to do is you're going to scroll down to right here, create or view your account. If you don't have an account just yet, you definitely have to sign up here. So you have to create an account. Okay. It says here, we're sorry, new account creation may be unavailable on Tuesday, January 19th. So if you are watching this on a Monday where I'm filming it right now, it might not be available till tomorrow. It might not be available tomorrow. Or this morning, right? So keep trying. But in our case, let's log in, okay? So I'm going to log in, type in my user ID, as well as they're going to ask for a password, okay? And I don't want them to remember any of this. They're going to send you basically a security code. I have mine hooked up to my cell phone, right? So this is kind of the what do you call it? The authentication, two-part authentication. So once they send you the code, I'm going to type in mine here, and this is a temporary code. Okay, just want to make sure it's you that's logging in, and it's going to show basically your login activity. Just pass this here. And once you're in here, it's going to show your dashboard about, your name, account status, things like that. Okay. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to go to view tax records right here. View tax records. Okay. And then you're going to go to get transcript right here. Get transcript. And then when they ask you, what's the reason you need a transcript, just select other. Okay, once you select other, just hit go. You don't have to file the customer file number. Then on this screen, there's going to be 4 different boxes here: return transcript, record of account transcript, and wage and income transcript. Here, what you're going to do is you're going to go to account transcript, the 2020. Okay, and once you're on this page, it will show you basically your account transcript. Okay, it's going to pop up here, and on there you're going to see basically if you were qualified, how much you received, and how much the IRS has on record that you should have received in terms of stimulus payment. You're going to take those amounts and you're going to walk through this worksheet with me in just a bit. All right, so now that you have either your notice 1444 or your account transcript, we're ready to begin the example. Okay, so we're going to walk step by step, line by line, through this recovery rebate worksheet, okay, to show you how to fill it out. Okay, so we're going to need an example here. My example here is this person is going to be married, okay, married filing jointly, that's their filing status. They have 2 eligible children under the age of 17, okay, and they did not receive any stimulus in rounds 1 or 2, okay. Once again, married with 2 children under the age of 17, did not receive any stimulus in rounds 1 or 2, and their AGI, or adjusted gross income, on their line 11 of the Form 1040 for 2020 is $120,000, okay? So remember, your filing status, the number of dependents, as well as your income in 2020 is gonna be the most important things to know and have ready while you're filling this out, on top of the account transcript or the notice 1444. So let's get right into the worksheet. Okay, so this here is the Recovery Rebate Credit Worksheet, right, line 30. Right, so this is the worksheet that we're going to need to fill out in order to know what we're going to put in line number 30 here. All right, as you see, before you begin, just like we said, we need the notice 1444 or the 1444B or your account transcript. Okay, so if you don't have either the notice or the account transcript, go back just a couple minutes ago, and you can look at how to get your account transcript from the irs.gov website. All right. It says, and also here it says, don't include on line 16 or 19 any amount you received, but later return to the IRS. Okay. So if you received anything and you returned any to the IRS, do not include that in line 16 or 19. Okay. 16 or 19 down here. 16, 19 says EIP 1, economic impact payment number 1, or economic impact payment number 2. All right. So let's start. Remember, in our example here, we have a married couple with 2 qualifying children under the age of 17, as well as their AGI is going to be $120,000, okay, for 2020. Okay, so $120,000 is their AGI for 2020. So AGI for 2020, if we look at that, it's going to be line number 11 of the Form 1040. And let's take you there. So AGI is going to be right here, adjusted gross income. Okay, that's AGI, and that's where you're going to need when we're filling this out. Okay, so this worksheet has to be done in unison while you're filling out this Form 1040, okay, for the 2020 year. Remember, you have to fill this out first and get to this AGI number, and then you move on to this worksheet. All right, so let's begin. So question number 1 here, can you be claimed as a dependent on another person's 2020 return? If filing joint return, go to line 2, right? So remember, one of the qualifiers here is you cannot be claimed as a dependent by another person, right? So if it's yes, if you hit yes here, then you already stop. You can't take the credit. So it says don't even bother with the rest of this worksheet. You just have to stop right here. So you don't have anything on line 30. But in our case, we're going to go with no, right? So this one, we're going to go with no. Okay, so no is this one. All right, let's move on. It says, does your 2020 return include a valid Social Security number? Remember, a valid Social Security number, it means that you have a Social Security number that is work eligible, right? Work eligible in the U.S., and it was issued before the due date of this 2020 tax return, so either April 15th or October 15th. Okay, so if you say no, right, once again it says stop, you can't take the credit, but in our case we're going to say yes. Okay, so we mark yes here, nice and neat. All right, let's move on to number 3. It says once it's yes, skips line 3 and 4 and go right to line 5. So we just skip these questions. Okay. So number 5 this is where they start asking about how much you received and your qualifiers here. So let's read through this. It says number 5, if your EIP 1, so that's stimulus round number 1, was $1,200, that's for singles, $2,400 if married filing jointly, plus $500 for each qualifying child you had in 2020. Right? Skip lines 5, 6, and 7, and put 0 on line 7 and line 16 down here, right? But in our case, no, we did not receive, this couple did not receive any stimulus payment in round number 1, okay? So, otherwise it says now enter $1,200 if you're single into this line, but in the case we are married, right, you have to enter in $2,400, okay? Then, let's go, question 6. Multiply $500 by the number of qualifying children under the age of 17 at the end of 2020, listed in the dependents section of page 1 of your Form 1040, okay, for whom you either checked the child tax credit box or entered an adoption taxpayer identification number. Right, so going back to the 1040, this is the box that they're looking for here, right? The dependents box, where if you have dependents here, obviously valid Social Security numbers, relationship to you, son or daughter, and if they have this box checked or this box checked for the adoption tax identification number, then that's where you take those numbers. And in our example here, we have 2, right? So we do 2 times 500, and our result is $1,000. All right. Then it says line 7 is add lines 5 and 6 Okay. And then now we move on. So this is the total EIP for this example scenario, right? Married, AGI under 120 at 120, and 2 qualified children, okay, under the age of 17. So for round 1, they should have received $3,400. So let's go to round 2 here, EIP number 2. It says that it was $600 for singles, $1,200 for married filing jointly, plus $600 for each qualifying child you had in 2020. Skip lines 8, 9, enter zeros in lines 10 and 19, and go to line 11, otherwise enter. So let's say you did receive your entire stimulus payment number 2, that you're qualified for, whether $600 as single, $1,200 for married filing jointly, plus $600 for each qualifying child. If you received all of that, you skip these. You put 0, 0, and then you also put 0, and then you go to line 11. But in our case, they did not receive stimulus rounds number 2 even. So here, right, because we're married, we put $1,200. Okay. Number 9 is once again, it's very similar to question number 6 on line 6. Multiply 600 by the number of qualifying children under age 17 listed in this dependents box with either the child tax credit or the credit for other dependents. In our case, we have 2 children that qualify, so total of $1,200. We add those 2 lines up, $2,400. Okay. So as you can see here, this is round number 1, round number 2. Round number 1 was larger than round number 2. Then, number 11, it says, enter the amount from line 11 on Form 1040 or 1040 SR. This is where your adjusted gross income comes into play. So that's why we were saying you have to have completed your 1040, the majority of it, and at least have your adjusted gross income here, so that you have your adjusted gross income here. So you need this number. So in our case, we know that ours is 120. Right, so we transfer this number to here, 120. Okay, line 11, we bring that number to $20,000. All right, then now this is where it comes into play here. Enter the amount shown below for your filing status. Because we're filing married filing jointly, ours is 150. And if you're single or head of household, then you follow these right here, right? So if you're single, you put 75,000, put head of household 112 and 500. And this is basically the cap, right? Remember, there's an income qualifier here for this rebate credit. All right, so once we get that done, is the amount on line 11 more than the amount on line 12? No, right? So in our case, it's no. So we check this box here, right? Move this over here. Then it now says skip line 14 and enter the amount from line 7 on line 15. So enter the amount on line 7, which is this 3,400, down on line 15. Okay. And the amount from line 10, right here, this 2,400, on line 18. Okay, so after we've done that, let's go to line 16. Okay, so we're right here. We just entered lines 15 and 18. We pulled those from the top, line 7 and line number 10. We brought them down here. Now on question 16, enter the amount, if any, of EIP 1, so stimulus payment number 1, that was issued to you before offset of any past due child support payments. You may refer to notice 1444 of your tax or your tax account information. So that's why it's so important. We need to know exactly how much the IRS has on their files that you should have received in terms of stimulus payment. In our case, this couple received 0, okay, in round 1. Then in line 17 asks, subtract line 16 from line 15. If 0 less than 0, enter 0. If line 16 is more than 15, you don't get to pay back the difference, right? You don't have to pay back the difference. But in our case, 3,400 minus 0 is 3,400. Get the full amount. Then it says here, subtract lines 14 from line 10 if 0, 14, okay, that doesn't apply to us here. Okay, then now it says enter the amount of any EIP 2, so stimulus round number 2 that was issued to you, refer to your notice 1444B, or your tax account information. So once again, in our example, they did not receive any. Okay, and it shows up 0 in their notice or on their tax account or their account. All right, so line 20, it says now subtract line 19 from line 18. So $2,400 minus 0 is $2,400. Then the recovery rebate now is you add line 17 and line 20. So line 17 is $3,400, line 20 is $2,400. Enter the result here. So that's going to be $5,800. Okay, the sum of those two. And this number, this 5,800, goes to line 30 of the Form 1040. Right? So this is the Form 1040. Theoretically, all of this is filled out. And line 30 here is the Recovery Rebate Credit, right? This is where we put in that 5,800. Okay. So this is where it goes. So you can see that the worksheet itself, it's not the most difficult worksheet that we've seen or I've seen before that the IRS has released. You know, I feel like the exemption or the allowances when you fill out your W-4 is a lot harder or more complicated than this. Just a few final tips before you file, right? Remember to file electronically and utilize direct deposit, okay, to file your 2020 tax return. And the reason I recommend this is that you can receive any eligible refunds much faster if you file electronically versus by paper. Also, now if you file electronically and you use direct deposit, the IRS will now have your most current direct deposit information, just in case Biden's third stimulus plan, right, or stimulus check that he's proposing to release can come to you at faster rate, right? Because a lot of times, for most of you who have not received your eligible stimulus payments in round 1 or 2, is because the IRS did not have your current direct deposit information or you did not file over the last couple of years, right? So definitely you want to file electronically, as well as include your direct deposit information when you file your return this year. Remember, if this is the kind of content that you're looking for, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, because there's going to be a ton of updates over the next few weeks and this filing season. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.